Welcome back to Big Brother Rewind. This is Sean,
And this is Chris.
and we're here to talk about the first week in the Big Brother house, Big Brother 24. What a week. Wow.
Dude, I mean, for our first week, this has been something.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
been crazy.
between well, no, let's just jump right into it. Do you want to
Let's do
talk
it.
about well, we have the crew there. Daniel,
Yeah.
I've never heard a person that claims to be a super fan say he wanted to win the first HOH.
Yeah, there's a bunch of questionable things when it comes to Daniel. I don't know how much of a super fan he actually is because I don't know. We're going to get into it. So here's our crew. I honestly, I got these stills together before the live show tonight, and now it feels like it's all like old news, honestly, with what happened on the live show.
Oh yeah, because well, we lost people without ever having a vote. There
Yeah.
was nothing, and then the vote isn't a vote; it's a vote for another competition. Which is it like another veto type? I don't know. I'm still not completely sure what this backstage pass setup thing is.
It
It's
was
unclear.
basically a way of a chance of one of those 3 women to get out instead of but now it's all moot, like, they're done. That was only the week 1 thing, and now it's over,
I
so
don't think it is. I think it's
according to Julie, she said it was, at least for
what.
those 3.
Yeah, oh yeah, for those three for this week it is. I think with this new head of household thing, that competition that we didn't get to see at all this week. I feel like it's what's going into play again. I feel like that backstage pass thing is something that's going to be, used each week. But I mean, I could be completely wrong on that.
Well, let's get into what happened this week. So Daniel did win head of household. He was happy to do it. Like you said, he went in there raring to go, which is usually not something that people are raring to do for the first.
Yeah,
No,
no,
nobody
I,
wants
I
blood in
just
their hands the first week.
I don't buy the super fan thing. You're not a super fan and going and want to win the first head of household because no matter what happens the rest of the season, if you don't win another one and you won the first one, people forgot you won the first one. That first one's so irrelevant. You did nothing the rest of the way. So you can't say, well, I won head of household for week one, and it actually means something.
Yeah, and you know what? The one positive thing about being head of household the first week is that you really get to dictate how the rest of your season goes as far as like the impression that you make, what you do that first week, who you align with. You know what I mean? Like you can go ahead and start like a major alliance, and who's going to say no to that? You know what I mean? But I don't think Daniel did any of that.
No, he didn't. He sat there and he wanted people to come to him,
Yeah.
which it's so flawed. There's so many flaws in that theory. I mean, dude, the have not room. Check that out.
Yeah, that
That
looks pretty unbearable.
That is diabolic. I use that word a lot lately, but that
Yeah,
is
it's a new
that is messed
vocabulary.
up. Could you imagine sleeping on the watermelon slice?
No, so who actually volunteered for this? Was it Monty, Kyle? I forget.
Michael
Okay,
and
so it was
Joseph. It
Michael.
was the four guys. The
The
four
four
guys volunteered
guys.
for it, and that's when they volunteered for it. Daniel was like, "Great, I don't have to worry about having any blood on my hands."
Right.
He was happy about that, but then Paloma was like, that was all strategic. And then
Yeah.
he kind of sat back and thought about it. I was like, you know what? You're not wrong about that. And it made him start thinking about other things along the way.
Yeah, which is another example of so yeah, we'll get back to as far as like what that ultimately means, these 4 guys. Ultimately, I don't think these 4 guys, even though they were put together in that spot, they grew close, but I don't think there was any kind of solid alliance that was formed between the 4 of these guys.
Amongst those four, not that we were able to actually see. It didn't really seem like there really was. Those two they need to be watched.
Yeah, so the only thing that Daniel did right is make a final 2 with somebody with Nicole. Nicole was somebody I had my eye
Mm.
on. Both of these guys actually, this going into the house when we were first talking about the cast.
Yeah.
They are, they were drawn. I guess their hair, they have similar hair, so they were drawn to each
So they were
other.
drawn to each other because of their hairstyle. Come on, that's stupid.
Yeah. But we'll
Uh,
see. I mean, we didn't get to see of course there was a lot of extra stuff going on this week, so we didn't really get to see these 2 talk beyond this one scene.
yeah.
So we'll see if these guys are still kind of the, final 2.
I think they're tight. I really think they're
Yeah.
tight. And honestly, that's a dangerous duo. Because
Yeah.
she is very athletic. She's very, being in the police force, she had to be able to do physical things. And then, I mean, him being a guy, he doesn't. I mean, he's a touring musician, so he's in
Right.
decent shape himself. So if either of them have half a brain and they already have the bronze, it's going to be a formidable alliance.
Yeah, and maybe she can kinda fill in some of the gaps as far as what he's lacking so far, 'cause he doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, yeah. There are some
Anyway.
missing pieces.
So Taylor had a big week this week. I mean, most of this week's news was all based around Taylor, right? As far as what was
Yeah,
going on in the house with her. Right from the jump, right from the get-go, she was wearing her I mean, she's like a
she's
pageant.
using. How do you put this in that way?
You go ahead because you already had feelings. You and Janessa
Yeah,
had feelings on.
just off the first, the cast and everything, she rubbed me the wrong way. She rubbed my wife the wrong way. She's like, you know what? I feel like she's going to be the one that drama is going to be surrounding. It
Mhm.
didn't take long for that to come true. And when she wasn't a part of the girls, when she was hanging around with the guys wearing, the swimsuit she's wearing here, she knows she's going to get looks. She's a very attractive woman. I mean, let's call it for what it is. And the guys are going to be like, yep, all these guys are me. Let's be straight here. I'll say all the guys besides maybe a couple are meatheads. And they're like, I'm going to hang around with that. I'm going to play pool with her.
I guess maybe I should expect less of people. I don't know, like,
But
this
my
is
feelings
probably
on her have turned.
okay.
So at the beginning, like I don't like how she ran to Monty and told Monty, hey, Paloma is talking about this. You guys may want to watch your back because she was real quick to turn
They
on.
needed to talk longer than that conversation lasted. I mean, apparently, right?
Yeah,
Because that had some real harsh consequences for her.
yes. And then when Daniel, man, Daniel during, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but during the video competition, Daniel was like, "You're rubbing people the wrong way, and this is going to give you an opportunity to make things right." I'm like,
Yeah, that was harsh. So that's what happened. So, basically there was this aura, this perceived notion that Taylor was getting buddy buddy with the guys and not really she wasn't a girl's girl, right?
"Yeah, the girls,
Um
girl, here they
Speaking
are, here
of
they
the
are."
girls, so yeah, here's the newly formed alliance with the girls alliance where you've got it's Amira, it's Jasmine, it's Brittany, Paloma, Alyssa, and I think that's it. Oh, and Indy, I think, is in there too.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much
she's
the
like in
only
the pink
girls
bag,
that
yeah,
aren't in there are Nicole and Taylor, who
and
just
Taylor,
happen
yeah.
to be hanging with the guys. So they're like, let's form an all girls alliance and make our first target a girl.
Yeah, right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But I'm also
Yeah.
sitting back and thinking, "Oh, this is doomed for failure." You're gonna
It,
put all these women together, and it happens with guys. So I'm not gonna make it sound like it doesn't happen with the guys either. But you put all of the women together, it's only gonna take minutes before one's like, "Oh, I don't trust her," or you know what I mean. It gets catty.
if Big Brother is anything to go on, that is typically what happens, right? Like anytime there is a girl, I say girl because they use the term girl, but if there is a women's alliance that forms, it typically dissolves within like the first 2 to 3 weeks at most. It's because they ultimately get in good with the guys, and then they start to feel these closer bonds and relationships with the guys, and this pact that they have typically dissolves. Now,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think as far as women alliances go, I think this is probably the strongest one to start so far, and that's really saying something because
it's already fracturing.
it's already fracturing. Yeah, this
Yeah, no,
week
it's already fraction. You have the other group, the other lines. I'm not sure if they even gave it a name, but it's two from the girls. It's Alyssa and it was
right? It's a new six-person alliance. Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's two girl. Was it two of the girls from the girls, or was it three?
it was three. It was Paloma, Alyssa, because those two are always together, and I think
Yeah,
maybe Amira. It
Amira.
was, yeah.
Yes, it was those three, and then they brought in Joseph. It was
Hmm.
Monty, and then they brought in Michael. Now this, oh my god, I was like, dude, this dude thinks way too much of himself. When they come to him, she's like, why'd they come to me last? Why wasn't I, talked to about who should come into this alliance? I'm like, dude, who the hell, who are you? I
Right.
mean, why do they have to come to you to decide on who's coming into the alliance? How about you just be happy that you're going to be in an alliance of six and you got some safety going?
Oh, well, Michael played it that way. I mean, he didn't tell Paloma, "Well, why are you coming to me last?"
Well,
He saved
yeah,
that
but
for the
just the
diary room.
idea when he's thinking that and he's actually voicing that out, I'm like, dude, you think way, way too highly of yourself. And when he's like,
Okay.
when he's referring to like Janelle and everything, does he honestly think he's on Janelle's level?
No, but nobody is their first week of Big Brother, dude. Like
That's true.
he did ultimately win that
He
veto
took care. Yeah, he
competition,
took care
right?
of himself. Yeah, in the veto
He
competition,
was
he went
giving
in.
himself some positive vibes and ramping himself up, and he won that damn thing. So let's not, cut his tree down so far so quickly. I mean,
A little bit
shoot.
of humble would be nice. Some humble pie.
Look, I would be playing that thing the same way. I would be suspicious of like, okay, so I'm definitely, from the way Paloma's talking, and he was talking to Paloma, and that's
Yeah.
another story. So like, and she's like manic and just going a mile a minute, and she's like, yeah, these are the people in the alliance, and you're in it. Like ultimately, he's smiling, like, yeah, sounds good to
Just
me. But
nodding
and that's
along with it. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how I would play it too, but, like, I would also be suspicious, like, especially it's not like they've had these bonds from what we've seen with Michael thus far,
No, he's
like
kind of been on the outskirts type
yeah, and
player.
he was on the block initially, so, I don't know, I'd be kinda suspicious. So, this is later when Amira goes up to Daniel, she starts talking to him about, this perceived, guys alliance, right? Like, "Oh, they only volunteered to be have-nots because they wanna get
Mhm.
on your good side."
She's bright. I
She
think she
is.
is very, very smart.
And Daniel is dim by comparison. In this
Yeah.
scene, like, you just see she is just working him hardcore, and,
Yeah, he's not. I mean, when he's out there and he's gonna need a few smart people with him
yes.
because I mean he may know the game, but I feel like he doesn't know how to play the game, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense. I feel like that could be a description of almost everybody on the season, like, everybody's playing like they don't even know what Big Brother is so far.
Well,
It's
yeah,
kinda
like I
crazy.
mean, we've touched on Paloma a little bit.
Mhm.
I enjoyed watching her. She quickly became one of my favorites on the season.
Hmm.
But every time she was on, they were showing her. I feel like, damn girl, slow down. You are playing way too hard,
Yeah.
way too quick. We're not even through week 1 yet, and technically, you can't even play week 1 because you're one of the backstage people. I mean, you're a social games there, but man, pump
Yeah,
the brakes,
Paloma
honey.
she did get, like, on the good side of a lot of people. I mean, there were multiple people calling her, "Oh, she's like my sister," and you could tell the whole cast was broken up when she ultimately, spoiler alert, she's the one that left the house this
Yeah.
week. But, yeah, so Daniel ends up he puts up Michael and Terrence as his nominations, and that's how we ended, was that Yeah, that's how we ended Sunday's show. So, really, that's basically where it started is, those nominations. This is what happened later in the week where basically the girls convinced her to, like, dress up in these fancy dresses because she's got a very impressive closet, right? She's a beauty
Yeah, yeah.
queen,
Well,
and
then she was
she
like, "You know what? After I wear this once, you guys can wear it." She's like, she's not gonna rewear something. I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna have that wide of a variety of of a wardrobe within the Big Brother house?"
oh, I didn't take it as that. I took it as though, like,
She
hey,
wanted to be
like
the first one in it.
no, I just took it as like, "Hey, my closet's open because it's like I'm sure none of them have I'm sure her closet is probably a lot more, higher end than the
Then
typical
yeah,
closet.
I'll buy that. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
So I think she was probably just trying to bond with the ladies, like, "Hey, if any guys wanna borrow any of these or whatever, just, feel free, my closet's open." I never got any sort of malice from Taylor this entire time. Like,
I
even when she was playing with the pool with the guys, like, what is she supposed to, like, not do that? Like, I mean, yeah, oh, she's trying to get good with the guys, like, okay, good on
Yeah.
her.
Mm. Yeah. I think I my opinion turned on her when we actually seen her personality. And
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, it came in a hardship in the show. But when her personality was actually starting to show, that's
It
when I started to turn my opinion started really changing on her.
By her own admission, it took a bit, and she said that historically with herself, it takes her a while to kinda break through that wall. So it's something she was aware of, and yeah, she would have been a lot better off if she was able to kinda bring those walls down earlier, but,
Earlier. Yeah.
This was tough because ultimately these girls kind of put her up to this, and then after the fact, they're all kind of like shitting on her behind her back about it.
Yeah. So, guys, right now, if you're watching us right now, thanks for joining us. This is awesome. We're doing our Big Brother rewind. Basically, it's a week in, look back on what took place from, the veto, the head of household, eviction, everything in between. We do this here. We're going to be doing it about 15 to 30 minutes live every week after the eviction. So, here on Thursday nights. So, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to join us. And if you join us, please comment. We love interaction. We'll go ahead and we'll respond to your comments live. And if not, drop them in the comments below when you're watching, and we'll go ahead and respond to them there. But what do we got going on here?
So Michael wins the veto. We already talked about it. He channeled the Janelle, right?
Yeah,
I
using
almost
his
forgot her
floppy
name.
noodle to grab those rings.
He did, and he won by one. That was actually like a really close
Yeah,
competition.
him and Amir were going back and forth. They actually had like this sudden death.
Yeah.
So they both knew what they were doing, which was fun to watch. When there's a competition that is that like close and they're
hmm
tying, and it's more fun to watch them than the blowouts.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I thought that was kind of a neat competition. So he pulls it out. He wins the veto. He saves himself. Afterwards, this is where Paloma's really kind of like you'd mentioned, she was like, press the gas pedal on the game. She was really kind of talking about, well, there was a big confusion, kind of a kerfuffle between Taylor, Monty, and herself because Taylor went into the girls' room initially to just check in how they're doing. The whole week she was complaining how like she would enter a room and people would leave. Like she didn't really get a good chance of like
I th-
talking to
and
people.
I think Paloma set her up.
Oh, for sure.
I
Yeah.
think Paloma 100% set her because they didn't trust her from the get go. And
Right.
then when she went ahead and essentially fed her this information, and the minute she gave it to her, she knew what she was going to do, and she ran right to Monty with it.
Yeah.
And Monty and her were already close. So the fact
That
that she can get that information right out of Monty was like, you know what? I don't trust her. Let's get rid of her.
that could very well be, and Monty played a part in this too because what I got out of that conversation when Taylor talked to him, like it was a little messy. She could have done a better job, but in no way did she say like, "Oh, Paloma was coming after you." It was just like Paloma and the girls are kind
Are
of worried that
concerned.
you guys are secluded and thinking that maybe you guys are starting an alliance, and
Yeah.
there's worry about that, which is different than, "Oh, she's coming after you and she's coming after you specifically,
Yeah,
Monty."
or yeah, she's not putting, his name in their mouth. It's
Right.
just, you're the group of guys, of
Yeah.
strong guys that every season is concerned about. If you're watching Big Brother or you're
Right.
watching Survivor or any of
Yeah.
those, it's always there's that threat of the alpha male, controlling the house, winning competitions type things.
Yeah. It's happened too many times already. So, if these people have watched Big Brother, they should know that like that's a thing. So ultimately, because of all this stuff and drama throughout the week, Taylor is looked upon as kind of the pariah, and Daniel ends up putting her up. His speech too is really kind of out of line. Like,
Man, it cut
um,
deep, and I was like, "Was it?
yeah,
Was it really that rough? Was it really that necessary?" Because he's been so concerned about getting blood on his hands. I mean, he just dipped his hands, deep into the blood.
yeah, he was like, Taylor, I'm pretty cool with you, but apparently you rubbed the house the wrong way, and that's why you're up there. And maybe this is a chance for you to apologize to the house. And it's just like, Jesus.
Yeah, I sat back. I was like, "Wow,
Yeah,
that
Taylor,
was
she was
intense."
shook, man. I mean, after this, she gets up and she cries, and like she has no idea where really this came. Like, apparently, the whole house is against me.
Yeah,
She was feeling uneasy, but I don't think she was feeling as though it was that serious. And she really kind of got shook from that. And yeah, Daniel, just another example of Daniel not really playing the head of household card very, very well.
no, I mean, it's a lack of. There's no self awareness. There's no
Yeah,
game awareness to what's going on here. So that's what's going on. So it's this here when she's sitting there, she's got a smile. I really would like to know what Terrence is thinking there
yeah,
because he's sitting there and he's got to have something going through it because he's an older guy. I mean, you can tell he's respectful
yeah,
and something like that and how Daniel went ahead and addressed it seemed very disrespectful. And seeing that you're only a week in, there's not much that could be done to this point that went ahead and upset everybody. maybe someone's word was broken or something, but I mean, we haven't even had a vote yet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we left it. I mean, that's kind of, the story so far as the entire week leading up to tonight. But tonight, honestly, we could have spent a half hour just talking about tonight's episode.
Dude, tonight
Yeah.
I mean, when Julie came on and she was like, things have changed, plans have changed, things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? Who left the house? Like me and Janessa were talking like, I've seen people leave. I've seen people being removed through
Right.
the diary room. I've seen people walk out the front door, if I
Yeah.
remember right. And they just done.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a new thing for me to see, but I think it's the environment we're in now, the awareness that we have now, like how everyone is concerned about their just own mental well-being,
Yeah.
and how hard Paloma was playing. I think that led to it. She was playing so hard, so fast, she couldn't shut her brain off, which meant she couldn't sleep. And it weared on her, and it sucks in.
I think she probably, I mean, from how badly and how much I mean, she even talked about it in the diary room. She was talking about her anxiety as though she's used to talking about her anxiety. It's
Yeah.
probably a thing that she's probably had to deal with for a certain amount of time leading up to this house. And I don't know if maybe just the pressure of the house was just too much.
The
And
environment
it
wouldn't be
was
good for her then. The camera's always looking, the talking
no.
behind people's backs, the all that. If you already in a high anxiety type person,
Hmm.
I mean, I can understand wanting to push yourself and trying to test yourself and, put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable to grow as a person. But man, that really got her.
This is a failure of casting, honestly, because this sort of thing should be vetted. I don't know how they do that exactly. Maybe they get referrals from doctors or
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
something
wonder if
before
there's like
people go
medical
in.
records and background and everything they got to go through before they get. I don't know how they actually wind up getting cleared to go in, but I would
Right.
assume that would be something. They'd have to show that they are medically fit to be able to be in the house.
Yeah, and I have no idea what behind the scenes looks like, but I mean, honestly, she was in the way she was walking around, not only sleeping an hour or two a night, and started to have like delusion. Like even there was stuff on the live feeds this week, even stuff they didn't show on the show. Just her talking about like maybe I'm in a simulation, not like the Big Brother house, but like the world itself is a
Oh,
simulation. And
jeez.
she was starting to say things like she was like deprived, like sleep deprived. And
Yeah,
she said,
everyone was starting to
exhausted,
get
but
concerned.
yeah, and it just ramped up, like, throughout the week, day in, day out, so it became, kind of a person that was looked at as somebody who's kind of, cute and adorable and like a sister and like, "Oh, well, she's really kind of playing the game hard, she's kinda being kind of aggressive, and
Yeah, yeah.
she definitely has something out for Taylor," and to a point where it's just like, she needs help, she needs to get out of this
Yeah,
house.
I wonder if, and I don't know if we'll ever find this out. I wonder if it became medically necessary for her to be removed, or she
Mm,
voluntarily left. Like she could have
right.
voluntarily left medically,
Yeah, yeah.
or was she removed medically?
That's a good question because the last that we saw of her, she was just kinda passed out on the
Yeah,
actual
she was
couch
sleeping
in
in
the
the diary
diary
room.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they may have had to call it themselves. I mean, that's a good question, whether it was her that ultimately pulled the plug on her season or if it was them.
they were like,
Um,
just for your safety, for your health, we
yeah,
can't let you continue. And I guarantee there's got to be some type of waiver that's signed by all of these, house members that saying, they're giving Big Brother the ability to, if they think it's against your health,
right.
they're going to remove you from the house.
Yeah, so kinda sad. I mean, Paloma, you kinda liked her more this week than I did. I thought she was really kind of manipulative, and especially the stuff around Taylor that was like, and she kinda spearheaded the whole like girls, girls, but let's tear down this girl. And she rubbed me the wrong way, if we're gonna use the house terminology here. But that being said, hindsight's 2020, and she was actually going through something,
Yeah,
personally. So, I feel I don't, that's not fair. Like this whole thing, like these people, this is such an opportunity to like play this game, and I feel bad for anybody who gets voted out the first week because
yeah,
it's always kind of such a shame. But like to be out of the house the first week because of these circumstances is kind of even extra. Like that sucks.
yeah. And the weird thing is, like, we were watching, when they told everybody, and everyone broke down. And my first thing my wife was like, she's like, they haven't even known each other a week yet.
Yeah.
And in the back, and Julie's like, unless you've been through this, you have no idea how it is. The back of my mind is, no, the truth is anybody that's going through any type of military basic training
Mhm.
knows what that environment's like.
Right.
Because you're being pulled away from your family, your friends, you're thrown in with a bunch of strangers. That first week is sometimes the hardest week.
Yeah.
You're 3 days, 4 days in, all of a sudden, if you're having a hard time for any reason, then you get really homesick. You're missing your loved ones. You break down. I did it. I know I've seen a lot of other guys do it in basic training, but then there's that rebuilding of trust with, your battle buddies in the
Right.
military. And then it builds you up. And that's the whole thing with the military and basic training. It's, break you down, build you up as one.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at the house in a very similar situation. Yeah, they're all trying to win the money, but there's an attachment to each other that happens real fast because they're all in the same situation.
Yeah, sure.
They all gotta mentally bond together, even though that they're trying to beat each other. There's that bond that's there. So the breaking down the tears, the my sister, how much I care for her, that
Right.
is really easy for me to go ahead and and buy.
You can see how that could happen that first week, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Because it's like, there's no distractions either. It's like there's no phones, there's no
Yeah.
television,
Oh yeah,
there's
exactly.
there's nothing for them to like ignore each other. Like they have to, unless you're gonna go hide in a room by yourself,
There's no
which nobody
escape.
there's no escape from these people, and you kind of are in a position where you have to like form fast friendships and relationships with the folks that are in this house with, and you're kind of, you feel like if you're not doing that, then you're not playing the game, and
Yep.
ultimately you're probably going to be booted out the first week, right? So there's
That's
that
absolutely
underlying
right. Yeah.
pressure of like, forming those relationships. So yeah, I can
Well,
see how it's that first week especially is it's a pressure cooker, and
yeah.
I feel bad. If Paloma would have been able to kind of pull through this first week, maybe she would have been able to, go through the rest of the season. But it was just ultimately too
That
much
was
for
just
her.
too much. Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah,
move on to what really took place today. So we really didn't learn anything about what this backstage pass was. We knew Brittany won the fan vote, so she wasn't going anywhere. So it left
yeah,
Paloma and Alyssa,
right,
vulnerable against whoever would have been voted out with Taylor and Terrence. And I guess
yeah,
Taylor, whoever that was, would have went head to head with one of the other two to see who went home. I would have
yeah.
liked
So
to have seen that, but I'm not sure exactly what that would have been.
Yeah, the way I understood it is basically they were going to have the House pick one of the two nominees that they already picked, either by the standard voting process or by just, letting them know what this backstage thing was ahead of time, ahead of the vote. But ultimately, one of the two nominees would have gone head to head against one of the three, backstage passers. Brittany would not have been it. So it
Yeah,
actually would
she
have
was
been one of
safe.
the
Yeah.
two. So either Paloma or Alyssa would have gone against either Terrence or Taylor to ultimately see who was leaving this week. But I mean, Julie explained because Paloma was one of those, five examples. Then this just like, makes no sense. Plus, I knew like as soon as she announced that Paloma was not there
Yeah, no one
anymore,
was leaving tonight.
yeah, that messes up their timetable. You know what I mean? They have this strictly planned out week to week as far as
Yeah.
what, the numbers look like, right? So this was definitely, in the cards for basically it's like pushing the reset
Yep,
button on the
that's
game.
exactly what we thought. I was pushing the reset button. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
was. But
So Taylor now has the opportunity to make amends as far as like I don't feel like I think she was kind of more of a victim in all this thing, but she
I
has the
yeah.
opportunity to like really get to know people, build relationships this second week.
And
And
honestly, for her game and for everything going forward, Paloma leaving was the best. The
yeah,
situation sucked, but it
right.
was the best thing for her because now,
Hmm.
now people will truly get to know her a little bit more because of what she went through, because of that personality she started showing.
Yeah,
Uh, I like her a lot more now, just
yeah,
because, like I said, that personality she was showing. So, and now when we just had a household competition that we didn't see come to completion,
yeah.
uh, she won the first round, so she's now in the running for HOH.
She is, yeah. So the way they ended the show tonight, basically they were almost like splitting the cast in half with a part one of a competition to see who ultimately is even going to go against each other for the head of household,
Yeah,
which may be going on right now. I don't know. Sometimes they have these competitions where they go through the night, and we won't know who won head of household as TV viewers, CBS viewers until the
Wednesday.
next show, which will be this Sunday.
No,
Will be
Sunday. It's Sunday,
yeah,
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, they're the days of the
right.
shows.
So we will be back next week, next Thursday after
Well,
I guess the first official eviction.
should we talk about Jasmine? Jasmine won the
Oh, God, yeah,
competition.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
she was stepping off the platform, and I have a suspicion that she broke her ankle. And the
I
reason I think she did is because she couldn't stand on it. She could put
She
no
couldn't.
weight. They had to cut away the commercial to
Yeah.
get her off the platform.
She had a weird slip from when she was climbing that wall and going across it, but she recovered and ultimately she finished it. So I thought, "Oh, maybe she just landed in a weird way," but, like, yeah, you're right. The fact that, like, she couldn't get up, and when they cut back and she was still, like, not even in a chair, she was,
She
like,
was
laying on the
laying on the
ground,
platform. Yeah,
like, that's not good.
no. I mean, that could be another hiccup for him. Because
Yeah.
if she broke her ankle, there's no continuing. You can't continue in the game with a broken ankle because she has to leave the house to get it cast.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how they'll handle that. Talking about a tremendous, first week.
It's crazy. I looked at Christina, I was like, "This season is cursed
I
already."
mean, it's
BB24, it's
nuts.
cursed.
And no, like I said, we still don't know who, the HOH is. So yeah, I guess TBD.
Yeah, TBD. Even Julie was just kinda throwing her hands up in the air. She was like, "Well, a lot going on."
Well, yeah, the look on her face a few times when they were going to commercial, she was like
Yeah.
just listening to the producer in her ear, like, what do we do? What do we do? This
She
is
looked at the camera, she was like, "We'll be right back." We never see Julie,
she
under
doesn't get
pressure
rattled
like that.
very easy. Yeah,
No,
she's like, Pat and Vanna. They don't get rattled.
that's right, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be back. We're gonna do a whole other rewind for week 2 that's coming up. Of course, Big Brother airs Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll see a first eviction. I assume we'll actually see an eviction that week. But yeah, we'll be here to recap all the events of Big Brother 2 next Thursday.
There we go, guys. And if you have watched us, throughout the way, thanks for joining us. A reminder: hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any of this. If you love Big Brother as much as we do, please join us. Join us live. We love you guys joining us live. It makes it entertaining for us. I like hearing other people's opinions. That's why I kind of
Yeah.
like going to these shows myself on YouTube. So if I can hear yours while we're talking, we can interact with you. That's awesome.
So I guess until next time,
Yeah.
expect the
Expect the
unexpected.
unexpected. There we go.
You didn't expect that, did you?
No, I didn't.